Hey, second grade. This week for math, what we're going to be working on is fractions. So if you haven't heard that word before, fraction, a fraction is a number that shows an equal part, equal is really important, of a whole, okay? So sometimes when we see these shapes, we see them over here, we see that the whole thing isn't really shaded in. We see that they're split up into equal parts, but the whole thing isn't shaded in. So if we take a look at this first square we have here, the way we find out the fraction of this square that's shaded is first we could see how many parts of this square are shaded. Well, I see 1, 2, 3. There's 3 parts shaded, okay? That's not a fraction though. That's just a number telling us how much is shaded. The next part we need to figure out is how many total parts are there of this square. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though it's not shaded, it's still part of the square. So there's 4 total parts. So now what we need to do is we need to turn these two numbers into our fraction. So the way that we do that is on top of our fraction is going to be two numbers written along this line. The top part is called the numerator, and that's how many parts there are. So in this square, we learned that there are 3 parts shaded. The bottom number is how many total parts. It's part whole. So just how many parts are shaded and how many whole. How many total do we have? We had 4 total parts. The way that we say this is 3/4. Okay? 3/4. Say that with me. 3/4. Awesome. Let's take a look at this next one. So here, how many of our circles are shaded? That's the first thing we want to start with. That's the number that goes on top. We have 1 shaded. And how many total? We have 1, 2, 3. Who thinks they can figure out what is the fraction then? Would it be 3 ones? Our part goes on top, 1, and 3 goes on bottom. And the way we say that is 1/3. Say that with me, 1/3. Okay, we have 1 shaded and 3 total parts. 1/3 is our fraction. Okay, one more here, and then I have some problems set up for you guys to practice with me. So let's look at this. We learned that the shaded amount goes on top. How many are shaded here? There's 1 shaded. Okay? How many total parts? That doesn't mean we just count this one because it's not shaded. How many total parts? Here's a part and here's a part. So there are 2 total parts. The way we say this, 1/2, is 1/2. That means half of it was shaded in. Okay? And again, I said this once before, but that number that goes on top is the part. How many are shaded? And that's called the numerator. Can you say that with me? Numerator? Numerator. That's the number that goes on top, and it tells us how many parts. The number that goes on bottom and tells us how many total, the whole, how many whole pieces are there, is the denominator. Say that word with me, denominator. I like to think denominator down. We write the denominator on the bottom. Okay, I have 3 problems set up here. Let's take a look at the first one. So again, on top is how much is shaded. That's the numerator. Say that again with me, numerator. And on bottom is the total parts. Sometimes something I've seen in the past is that friends will want to put how many are not shaded on the bottom. But the bottom is how many total parts are in this whole rectangle. So let's start with how many are shaded. Can you take a look? How many of those parts are shaded? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 parts shaded. Do we have 1 part go on the bottom? Is that the total? No. Now the total is all of these pieces. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total pieces. So our denominator is 5. The way we would say this fraction is 4/5. Say that with me. 4/5. Awesome. Okay, we've got 2 more. So I see all of these hearts. I want you to think to yourself, how many of those hearts are shaded? And that's going to be the number that goes on top. How many hearts are shaded? I see 3 hearts shaded. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 hearts not shaded. Does that go on bottom? 4? Remember the total amount goes on bottom, which means I need to count every single heart. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3/7 of the hearts are shaded. Okay. Ooh, we've got 2 things to do here. First, it wants to know the fraction of the squares that are blue. It doesn't ask for the number. The number of squares that are blue would be 2, but it wants the fraction, which means it wants the part to the whole thing. So how many parts are blue amidst the whole big rectangle? And then it wants to know how many, the fraction that are green. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's start with blue. What's my numerator, the number on top? What is my numerator going to be? Well, I see 2 blue shaded. My denominator is going to be the total pieces in this rectangle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2/8 are blue. Okay, I have a question I want you to think about. Is our denominator here, the number on the bottom, is that going to be the same or different? If it's the total pieces and we're looking at the same shape, it's going to be the same. Let's double check that. So here it wants to know the fraction of this rectangle that's green. On top, we have to count our green shaded squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now the bottom is our denominator. How many total pieces are there? Well, we're working with the same shape, so it should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have 2/8 are blue and 6/8 are green. Okay, you have a few worksheets to do, and there's another, if this is, you need a little more on this, we have some Khan Academy videos and practice for you as well for Thursday. If you have any questions about fractions, let us know and we can help you out. Have a great week.